What's up, guys? This is Benny Ricciardi with FTN Bets, bringing you our first look at the opening lines for Week 8 of NFL action. For those of you joining us from the Game Plus Network, I wanted to say welcome to the show, and let's get into it. We're going to start with the Thursday night game here, featuring two of the best teams in the NFL, the Green Bay Packers taking on the Arizona Cardinals. The Green Bay Packers are 6-1 on the year, 6-1 against the spread, 2-5 to the over, and coming off a win over the Washington Redskins 24-10. The Arizona Cardinals are the last remaining unbeaten team at 7-0, 6-1 against the spread, 3-4 to the over, coming off a beatdown of the Houston Texans 31-5. When I run my numbers on this game, I get Arizona should be favored by -3. So I guess there is a little bit of value here on the Packers at +3.5. Like it on DraftKings at -110, better than BetMGM at -115. But the fact that MGM has it at -115 does mean that this number is likely or more likely to move to 3 if it is going to go in either direction. So if you are interested on taking the Packers, I do think you're going to need to do it now, earlier in the week before this number moves. Like I said, my number is -3. I don't really think we have a lot of value here. I'm pretty much on market. Now we can move on to the Sunday games. And the first one I want to talk about here is the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Cleveland Browns. Pittsburgh is 3-3 on the year, 2-4 against the spread, 1-4-1 to the over, and coming off a bye last week, so they are well rested. Cleveland is 4-3 on the year, 4-3 against the spread, 4-3 to the over, and coming off a win against the Denver Broncos, 17-14 on Thursday Night Football. So we do need to make a little bit of adjustment for them as well because they do have a little bit of extra rest, although not as much as the Steelers. When I run my number on this game, I actually get the Cleveland Browns should be favored by 4.25 points here, so 4.25. I do think there's value on the Cleveland Browns at -3, especially on BetMGM when you get a juice down a little bit at that -105. I think there's a small edge there. We got about 1.25 points worth of value here. Now, is that a ton of points? No. Is it something I feel really good about? Not really. But I do think that this is a little bit below where it should be here. So if you wanted to take a side in this game, I do think the Cleveland Browns are the side to take. The next game we can talk about here, the Cincinnati Bengals coming into town to take on my New York Jets. Cincinnati is 5-2 on the year, 4-3 against the spread, 2-5 to the over, coming off a 41-17 win over the Baltimore Ravens in a game where they looked very good. The New York Jets are 1-5 on the year, 1-5 against the spread, 3-3 to the over, and coming off a beatdown against the New England Patriots, 54-13. Zach Wilson did not finish that game. If Zach Wilson plays in this game, I would say that the spread should be around -7, which would mean that the Bengals are probably a little too rich at -8.5. If Zach Wilson doesn't play, I would think that this number should be at 8.5 right here. Now, with that being said, do I want to bet on the Jets side? Absolutely not. As a Jets fan, I can tell you guys that is not something you want to do this year. This is not a very good football team. Their defense is slightly improved. Their offense is, if not, they're one of the worst in the league, if not the worst in the league. So I do think that the Bengals are going to win this game. I think the Bengals have a chance to win this game big. So I do not want to be betting against the Bengals and being on the Jets side. Now, with that said, the way I like to use this game, this is a perfect teaser piece game. The Bengals are at 8.5. You use a 6-point teaser, you get them down to 2.5. Getting them down to 2.5 means you get through the key number of 7. You get through the key number of 3. You also get through the semi-key numbers of 8 and 6 with teams going for 2 a little more often here. Those are all key numbers that we want to be on the right side. And by teasing this down from -8.5 to -2.5, you now capture all those numbers if you're on the Cincinnati side here. So I am very bullish on the Cincinnati Bengals as a teaser piece. If you want to play them straight up, you can. I think it's a little bit too rich, so I am not going to be playing it straight up, but you will see the Cincinnati Bengals in quite a few teasers that I put out this week. So now we can move on and talk about the Carolina Panthers against the Atlanta Falcons. This is an interesting one here. The Panthers are 3-4 on the year, 3-4 against the spread, 2-5 to the over, coming off a loss to the New York Giants, 25-3. The Atlanta Falcons are 3-3 on the year, 3-3 against the spread, 4-2 to the over, and coming off a win against the Miami Dolphins, 30-28 on a last-second field goal. When I run my numbers on this game, I get the Atlanta Falcons should be favored by 1 point. So I am bearish on the Atlanta Falcons at 2.5, but I'm not on the Carolina side. It's not like I really want to be on Carolina plus 2.5. There's a quarterback controversy brewing over there. Sam Darnold has looked like hot garbage the last couple of weeks. He finally got benched in the last game for XFL sensation PJ Walker. How that's going to play out, I have no idea. I do these videos on Monday morning, so we're going to have to see what the word out of Carolina is on whether or not Sam Darnold will be benched, if PJ Walker is going to start. That would actually affect this number for me. I would actually probably move it probably about 1.5 points, which would give me exactly what we're looking at here with the Falcons at -2.5. So assuming that Sam Darnold is still the quarterback, I do think there's value on the other side of this game. The next game we can talk about, we have the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Detroit Lions. The Eagles are 2-5 on the year, 3-4 against the spread, 3-4 to the over, coming off a loss against the Las Vegas Raiders, 33-22 on Sunday. The Detroit Lions are 0-7, 4-3 against the spread. They've actually been very good against the spread despite being 0-7. 2-5 to the over, and coming off a loss against the Los Angeles Rams, 28-19 in a game that they came out very aggressive and did everything they could to try to win. They just weren't talented enough to hang with that Rams team. When I run my numbers on this game, I get the Philadelphia Eagles should be favored by about 4 points here. So when we look at that -2.5, I am bullish on the Philadelphia Eagles here. I think there's value at that 2.5 -145. Although I do want to make sure everybody understands that's a -145. That is super juiced up at -145 there. Your payout on that is going to be like 70 cents on the dollar, maybe. So it's not the greatest number for you to take there. I actually would rather take the Eagles -3 at the -115. You get the push on a field goal. And like I said, my number is actually a little bit bigger than -3. So I think that's the side of it that I'd rather be on over on BetMGM. The -2.5 and -145, it's basically the same as saying like a -3 at -120-ish. So the number is still a little bit better on the BetMGM side, even though it looks like you'd rather be on the 2.5 there. It's just too many basis points for me to give up just to get the extra hook on that side. If that number comes down to like -125-ish at -2.5, then I would be on it. But otherwise, I'd rather just take the -3 at -115. Again, bullish on the Eagle side of it. I do think that's where the value is. So the next game we can talk about here, we got the Miami Dolphins taking on the Buffalo Bills. Miami is 1-6 on the year, 2-5 against the spread, 4-3 to the over, and coming off a loss, last second field goal to the Atlanta Falcons, 30-28 on Sunday. Buffalo is 4-2 on the year, 4-2 against the spread, 3-3 to the over, and they are a well-rested team coming off the bye. When you factor in that they're well-rested from the bye, you factor in that they're home here, I get that Buffalo should be favored by 13 points, which puts me basically right on market here. Buffalo -12.5 is juiced up to -113, meaning that -115, meaning that if it is going to move, it is likely to move to a -13, which is the same number that we have on DraftKings right now. DraftKings even has that -13 juiced up to -115, meaning they might even move it up to 13.5 or 14 here. Like I said, if you want to lay those points or take those points or do whatever the heck you want with this game, that's fine. Buffalo is a much better team than Miami is. 13 is the number that I think it should be. So I don't really think there's any value here. I think we're right where we should be on this number. I'm going to be avoiding this game. So the next game we could talk about, the Tennessee Titans taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Tennessee is 5-2 on the year, 5-2 against the spread, 4-3 to the over, coming off a win against the Kansas City Chiefs, 27-3. Indianapolis is 3-4 on the year, but 5-2 against the spread, 4-3 to the over, and they're coming off a win on Sunday Night Football against the San Francisco 49ers by score of 30-18. When I run my number on this game, I actually get the Titans should be favored by 3, meaning I am very bullish on the Titans at +1 here. I don't want to play the +1 though. When it's a +1 number, I'd rather just play the money line, and we can get this at -105 over on BetMGM. Like I said, I think the wrong team is favored here. I think the Titans should be favored in this game. So for me to be able to get them at -105, honestly, I would probably even play it up to like -115 or -120. That's probably still good value there. I think fair value is probably even a little bit higher than that. So I am very bullish on the Tennessee Titans here, but I would not touch the spread. Just play it on the money line. Whenever we have value on a spread, we also have value on a money line. And a number like 1 or 2 doesn't cross any key numbers, doesn't really get you anywhere. I wouldn't doubt if the Titans end this week favored in this game, but for now, I think the best way to play it, take the minus 105 and the Titans on the money line. That's the way that I'm looking at it. Bullish on the Titans. So the next game we can talk about, the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Houston Texans. The Rams are a 14-point favorite in this game. They are 6-1, 4-3 against the spread, 4-2-1 to the over, coming off a 28-19 win over the Detroit Lions. The Texans 1-6, 3-4 against the spread, 3-4 to the over, coming off a beatdown at the hands of the Arizona Cardinals, 31-5. I think the Rams and the Cardinals are very similar teams. I think that they're very close in my power rankings. We saw a good game between those two earlier in the year already. When I run my numbers here, I get 13.5. So is there a little bit of value on the Texans side? Yeah, there probably is. Would I be willing to bet on that value? Absolutely not. Basically, I am just going to be avoiding this game. I'm pretty much on market. My 13.5 with the 14 and the 14.5 are very close numbers. 14 is a key number, but it's like a semi-key number. It's not a number that comes out very often. Am I worried about it? No, not really. If I had to bet on this, I mean, listen, the Cardinals just blew this Texans team out. The Texans didn't even score a touchdown in this game. The Cardinals scored 4. I think the Rams are going to do something very similar. If I had to pick a side here, I would lay the 14 points with the Rams, but my number doesn't say that that's the right thing to do. So I'm just going to be avoiding this game. I don't think there's a lot of extra value here. The next game we can talk about, the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Chicago Bears. The 49ers are 3-3, 1-5 against the spread. So they haven't been very good for bettors this year. 3-3 to the over, and coming off a loss on Sunday Night Football to the Indianapolis Colts, 30-18. The Chicago Bears are 3-4 on the year, 3-4 against the spread, 1-6 to the over, and coming off a beatdown at the hands of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 38-3, where they could not get anything going offensively, turned the ball over quite a bit, and could not do anything to stop the Tampa passing attack. When I run my numbers on this game, though, I actually get the 49ers should be favored by -2. And I know Chicago looked awful, but that is where the value is. So I am not going to be betting on the Bears side, but I will be avoiding the 49ers side here. I am bearish on the San Francisco 49ers as a 3.5 -4 favorite. I don't want to give up the hook. I don't want to be on the wrong side of it. And like I said, my number is -2. So depending on how you look at it, we either have 1.5 or 2 points of value here on the Bears side. Again, I can't pull the trigger on the Bears, but I'm not going to be making any bets on the 49ers. Bearish, staying away from this game. So now let's move on to the 4 o'clock games. The first one we're going to talk about here is the New England Patriots taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. The Patriots are 3-4 on the year, 3-4 against the spread, 3-4 to the over, coming off a win against the New York Jets, 54-13 on Sunday. The Chargers had a bye on Sunday, but they are 4-2 on the year, 4-2 against the spread, and that very good defense has them at 1-5 to the over, meaning they're playing most of their games to the under. I'm actually bearish on this number, though. When I run my numbers on this game, I get the Chargers should be favored by 4 points, meaning that at -5.5, I just think it's a little bit too rich. Do I think the Chargers win? Absolutely. I think the Chargers win this game. I think it's just a little bit too many points. I think we're on the wrong side of the field goal here. I'm not willing to bet on the Patriots, but honestly, if you're playing in a spread pool or something, I do think the Patriots plus 5.5 is the side that has more value here. I respect the Chargers. I think the Chargers are a very good team. I think their offense can put up points. I think their defense is definitely going to give New England problems. But like I said, when I run my numbers, I just don't see the value here. So I'm bearish on the Chargers, and I'm going to be avoiding a bet on this game. The next game up, the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Seattle Seahawks. Jacksonville is 1-5 on the year, 2-4 against the spread, 2-4 to the over, and coming off a bye. So at least they're well rested for this one. The Seattle Seahawks are 2-4 on the year, 3-3 against the spread, 1-4-1 to the over. And they play Monday Night Football against New Orleans. Remember, we do this video Monday morning, so we do not have the results or how that game's going to go. That could change things depending on if anybody gets hurt or how things come or even how they look in that game on Monday night. But when I run my number, I do think this number is a little too small. I get the Seahawks -6 here. So I'm actually bullish on the Seattle Seahawks on the look-ahead line. -3.5. I wish it was -3, so we had the hook on our side. But again, if my number is -6, -3 is 2.5 points of value. It is kind of in that little bit of a dead zone there, but it's a big enough zone where I would be on the Seattle Seahawks side, and that is the way I want to play this game. That is what I'm looking to do here. I am bullish on the Seahawks, -3.5. Take it on BetMGM. You get it at -105 rather than standard -110 juice on DraftKings. The next game up is the Washington football team against the Denver Broncos. Washington is 2-5, 1-6 against the spread, 4-3 to the over, coming off that loss to the Green Bay Packers 24-10. The Denver Broncos are 3-4 on the year, 3-4 against the spread, 2-5 to the over, and coming off a loss to the Cleveland Browns 17-14 on Thursday Night Football. Denver does have a little bit of extra rest here, so we have to factor that in as well. And when we do, along with home field advantage, I actually think the Denver Broncos should be favored by 3.5 points here, which is exactly the number that we have on BetMGM. Now, if you look at the -3, -120 on DraftKings, they juiced it up, meaning that it is more likely on DraftKings to end up at that -3.5 there. And then if you look at the number on BetMGM, they actually juiced it down a little bit at 3.5. So the line on this game should be over 3. It probably should be like 3.25 because that would kind of make sense with both of the numbers here. The juiced up -120 on DraftKings at -3 and the juice down -105 at MGM at 3.5. The number in the middle is probably where this should be there. Again, at 3.5, I'm pretty much on market here. So I don't really have a bet on this game. I'm going to be avoiding this one. And that brings us to the last of the 4:00 games, which is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the New Orleans Saints. Tampa Bay is 6-1 on the year, 3-4 against the spread, 4-3 to the over, and coming off a 38-3 win against the Chicago Bears. New Orleans is 3-2 on the year, 3-2 against the spread, 2-3 to the over, and they are the team that plays Seattle on Monday Night Football. So again, we'll have to see what happens. We may make some adjustments to this game. Remember, if you're looking to see what those adjustments are throughout the week or any changes that we have, get over to the FTNBets.com website. There's a bunch of free tools over there, a bunch of free stuff. There is a paywall that has some of the more premium stuff behind it, but take a while, take a look around, see what you see there. There's a lot of good, useful stuff, whether you're betting, playing fantasy, or, whatever your angle is for football. When I run my numbers on this game, I get the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should be favored by -3. So I'm actually a little bit bearish on this look ahead line at -4.5. It's not that I don't think the Bucs can cover it. I just think that it's a few too many points. And, when you try to factor in how often they're going to cover this number, I think the Saints can keep this game close. The Saints are at home here. Their defense has been pretty solid. The offense, they should get better. They got Michael Thomas back. He's supposed to play tonight. He should definitely be a week or two into practice before they play this game. Again, how much is that going to affect things? We don't really know. But what I do know is that I do think this is too many points. So I am bearish on the Buccaneers. I would not be putting a bet on the Saints, but it's enough to keep me off of the Buccaneers at 4.5, even though I do think they win this game. And that brings us to the Sunday night football game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Minnesota Vikings. So both of these teams are coming off a bye last week, so we don't have to make any adjustments to our numbers, at least not for the extra rest that either one of them have like we normally have to do. Dallas is 5-1 on the year. They are 6-0 against the spread, the only undefeated team left against the spread. And they're also 5-1 to the over. So if you've been betting Dallas and overs, you've cashed quite a few this year and probably made a lot of money so far. Minnesota is one of the tougher teams to figure out for bettors. They are 3-3 as their record, 3-3 against the spread, 3-3 to the over. So there's really no rhyme or reason to how anything works out with this team. Like I said, both of these teams are coming off a bye. When I run my number here, I get the Dallas Cowboys should be favored by -1, which is the exact number they have on BetMGM. You look at the number on DraftKings, they have it at -2, -105, meaning that they're kind of enticing you to take it at the -2. If it's going to move, it's going to move to the -1.5 based on those numbers. So getting a little closer to my number of -1. I don't really have a bet on this game. I'm pretty much right on market here at -1. So not a lot more to talk about. And that brings us to our final game, the Monday Night Football game between the New York Giants and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Giants are 2-5 on the year, 3-4 against the spread, 3-1 to the over, and coming off a 25-3 win against Carolina, which was a good win for the New York Giants. Looking at the Kansas City side of things, Kansas City is 3-4, 2-5 against the spread, 4-3 to the over, coming off a beatdown to the Tennessee Titans, 27-3. It's very tough for me to put a number on this game right now because of all the injuries. The Giants have injuries to basically all of their skill position players. 4 wide receivers on the Giants are been questionable or doubtful the last couple of weeks or out by the end of it. And then last week, you saw the Chiefs starting quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, leave the game with a concussion. Again, we're doing this video on Monday. My guess is he's going to end up in a concussion protocol. I don't know if he passed it or not. I don't know if he's going to be good to go on this game this weekend. But I ran my numbers 2 different ways. I ran my numbers with Patrick Mahomes as the quarterback. With Mahomes as the quarterback of the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs should be favored by 12, meaning that we have a little bit of value here on that -9.5, -115 on BetMGM. That's the number I'd rather take rather than the -110 at the better payout at even money on DraftKings. If Mahomes is not the quarterback, though, Mahomes is worth the most points to any team on my power rankings in the entire league. So if Mahomes is not in this game, I would actually have the Chiefs favored by only 4, which would mean we have massive value on the Giants at +9.5, -105. Now, again, until we have news on Patrick Mahomes, I don't really know which way to go, and I can't really tell you guys which way to play this. As of now, though, I don't have a bet on this game. If Mahomes is in, the value is on the Chiefs side. If Mahomes is out, the value is definitely on the Giants side. That's probably why the books have a number somewhere in the middle, just kind of hedging depending on, what happens and whether or not he plays. And that wraps it up here at FTN Bets for our first look at the opening lines for Week 8 from DraftKings and BetMGM. Good luck, everybody.